Welcome back to One Minute Shoe Review. Today we're talking about the Nike Vomero. Folks, we have a party crasher today. I have Emily from Run Like Heller. She must have heard we were talking about the Nike Vomero 17. I put a ton of miles in. I know Emily's put a ton of miles in, and I know she probably heard this and wanted to crash the party. Emily, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, and I am ready to crash the party because I have a lot of stuff to say about this shoe.
Okay, I like to hear about that. Now, for some of the folks, the Vomero is kind of an interesting shoe for Nike. They call it their max cushion shoe. It's about $160. So, it's definitely getting up there and there. It's about a 9.5 drop for me. I believe, what is it, 40 in the heel, and then whatever
Yeah.
that might be. And it has Zoomx in the foam as long as Teflon 2.0. I have no idea what Teflon 2.0 is. I love Zoomx. So when I first saw this shoe, I was like, yes, Zoomx. And then I heard the Teflon 2.0. So put a little bit of a damper to it. But honestly, I've been racking up the miles. What do you like about this shoe?
So it's interesting. A lot of the things that I like about it, there's also aspects that I don't, but we'll get to the positives first. So what I like about it to start off, if we're going with the upper, I like the materials they use. They're soft on the top of my foot. And I love that the ankle collar is nice and plush. I don't really like shoes that have a skinny ankle collar, bad for the Achilles rubbing. Here, you're not going to have that problem. But obviously, the selling point of this shoe is the Zoomx foam, because who doesn't love Zoomx? I don't think I've ever met a runner who doesn't like it. Now that I said that, somebody will say they didn't like it. But it's a great foam. It gives you that squish and that response, and it's just kind of top notch when it comes to that sort of thing. And then the other foam under it gives you a nice kind of structure to the shoe, more durability. And then in terms of durability, other thing I really like about the shoe is how much durability this shoe kind of has. It almost feels like it could get through pretty much anything, and it's going to give you hundreds and hundreds of miles. So that's something those are things that I really like. And I am just like a max cushion shoe kind of person. That's what I gravitate towards. So on paper, this is something that would be perfect for me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I really enjoy this upper. I love a plush upper, especially on like a shoe. It's a daily run, maybe recovery runs. I like a plush upper. This tongue I thought was really nice, hugged my foot really nicely. The other thing about this shoe that's a little underrated is when I'm running in the morning when it's dark out, this shoe lights up. People can see this shoe. I like the
Wow.
of it. There's little pieces to it. And then again, the Zoomx felt really nice underfoot. I use this more for daily runs. I did it on long runs, but I wasn't picking up the pace. This is definitely a cruiser kind of shoe for me. So again, overall, it fit really nice on my foot. And overall, the experience was kind of tough. I really enjoyed it. I didn't expect me to enjoy this because the Vomero has kind of been a dud recent years. I mean, they kind of were dropping the 16, then they didn't. Then the 15 had issues, and then the 14 had too small a tongue. So I really do feel like the 17 definitely brought the Vomero back to life.
Yeah, it's interesting because this is actually the first Vomero that I have ever run in. I used to run in a couple different versions of the Pegasus, and in recent years, they really haven't worked for me. And I have been wanting to get my foot into a Vomero for a long time because of that, because I figured if the Pegasus doesn't have enough cushioning, maybe the Vomero will. And it does generally, but I think this is kind of what I want, like the Pegasus to be. So I think that's kind of where my head goes when I look at this shoe. It's a really good overall cruiser, like you said. It's going to give you those long, possibly even slower paced miles. It's going to crush that kind of thing with ease. Not necessarily a shoe that I would take out for every single kind of run. I don't think it's going to be great for like speed work, that kind of thing. Maybe that's when you pull the Pegasus out or something even faster than that. But overall, for a person who's looking for a shoe that's going to be just great at those paces where you're just going to set it on cruise control, I think this is a perfect shoe to look at for that.
Yeah. Now with the good, there's gotta be some bad. I know I had some bads. What are your bads?
Okay, so you mentioned the tongue, and so I like the way the tongue feels. Let's start with that. However, I have a very narrow foot, so sometimes it's hard for me to get a good fit into a shoe. So that requires me to cinch the laces down quite a bit, especially in this shoe. And these laces are a bit thin, on the thin side. So when I would try to yank those laces down, I almost felt like the tongue was kind of getting in the way of me really getting that good cinch. So the shoe felt a little bit loose on my foot from time to time. Not a deal breaker, but something that I did notice. So didn't really love that. The heel slipping thing is a little bit annoying, but I did use the last loophole, so that kind of alleviated that problem. But the biggest thing for me that I kind of felt with this shoe, two things actually, is that there is so much cushioning back here, it feels like, in the heel. And I would love for them to distribute more of that to the forefoot. It's not like they don't have cushioning in the forefoot. It's there. It's not going to feel super flat, but I just don't, it really feels like it's made for like heel strikers as opposed to somebody who lands maybe in their midfoot or in their forefoot. And then the other thing that I have to say about the midsole, but also kind of the outsole, is I think that this material is so thick that it almost sort of dampens the ride of the midsole for me a bit. I'd love to see what this shoe would feel like if it had just a little less of an intense outsole. Perhaps maybe it would be a little bit softer feeling, or there would be more life from the foam. I'm getting that life from the Zoomx, but because of the foam under it and the outsole, I do feel like it doesn't feel as good as it could necessarily. And those were kind of like my glaring things about it, which would not make me want to reach for this shoe over some other, maybe like more Max Cush daily trainers type of things.
Yeah, so for me, the first thing I had to get in my mind when I read the description of this shoe, I thought it was the Turbo. I love the previous.
Yeah.
That was the Turbo one was my favorite shoe. I felt the Zoom X was fantastic. I actually did a half marathon in that shoe, and I just loved that shoe. So that was the problem with the shoe. When I read the description, I was like, oh man, they made the Turbo, but calling it the Vomero. But it's not. It's definitely not. I wish this was all Zoomx. I'm not a huge fan of the Teflon. It's okay. Feels a little outdated. I wish they would have just given us a full Zoomx. I think the people want the Zoomx. The other thing you nailed on, I don't love a 9.5 drop shoe. I wish they would make it put more in the forefront. I want a little bit more. I could definitely, on my long runs, when I took it double digits, I could definitely start feeling this more as I start hitting more. And I'm not a big guy. So I'm definitely not like one of those runners that would be worried about that, but I definitely start feeling that a little bit more on double digit runs. So I wish they would have a little bit more in the forefront, make it all Zoomx. Now, the one thing I want to point out to you, because you said you didn't love the tongue, I have a little bit of a wider foot, so that's not an issue. But also, if you ran in the 14, the tongue was so small, you couldn't do it. It was too short. So when you did a runner's knot, it dug into your foot.
Oh, it's a deal breaker.
So that's why I'm like, yes, this is a great tongue.
No, I know. Now I see why you like this a lot. Yeah.
So only because the previous Vomeros like scarred me a little bit. I'm telling you, I came home and I like my foot was bleeding because of it. So having this be more comfortable, and honestly, I didn't even need a runner's knot in this shoe, which sometimes I need in Nike shoes, but this definitely did not have that issue. You know, for me overall, it's just the foam. I wish it was all Zoomx. I wish they gave me a little bit more, because similar to you, I love a Max Cushion shoe. This doesn't feel like a Max Cushion shoe. No. It really doesn't give me that vibe, and this looks like a lot of foam right here, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like a Max Cushion shoe. Either they should have made it a full Turbo or called this the Pegasus 40 Plus, because that's what it feels like. It feels like a better Pegasus.
Yes.
Not a Turbo, a little bit better. I just don't know. It feels like this one's like kind of like the Vomero doesn't know where it wants to go.
Yeah, I agree with that. I almost think like this is like a Pegasus Deluxe. You know, like it's more of like, it's like the fancier version of a Pegasus. But this is exactly, like I said earlier, not to repeat myself, but this is what I would want the Pegasus to feel like. And I feel like what they have for the Pegasus now doesn't work for me in the least bit. Maybe it does for somebody. But this would be perfect for being the Pegasus. And then for a Vomero, a Max Cushion shoe, then they could put some more Zoomx, get some more cushion in the forefoot. And then we might have a winner. I don't know.
I'd love that, you know, and it also costs about $160, which is definitely on the higher end. This is becoming a pain point for me. I don't like the cost of shoes going up. They're
Yeah.
up and up. So I don't think it's too expensive, but I wish this was a little bit cheaper because I do think people would probably opt for this over the Pegasus, in my personal opinion. But again, 160 is not terrible.
No, it's not bad. And if someone came to me and they asked me which Nike trainer should I get, the Peg or the Vomero, I would 100% direct them to this. And I tell them to spend a little bit of extra money because you're going to get way more mileage out of this shoe. I think it's a more pleasant ride. It's worth the extra money. And I have seen a lot of these like max cushion type of shoes being in this price point at this time. I don't necessarily like that. I think no shoe really needs to be $160 unless it's got like some kind of TPU nylon plate, some kind of cooler situation going on in the midsole. But it kind of is what it is. And I think because of that, it's sort of competitively priced. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good shoe. It's not my favorite shoe. Will I keep running in it? Yes, but just to kind of see if maybe over the course of more mileage, I start to like it a little bit better. I'm on the fence though.
Now, my one question for you is how would you put this in a rotation? If someone said, hey, Emily, I want to buy this shoe, how does this fit in your rotation?
So I think this would fit as for me, this would be like the daily trainer. Like I think what I would have if I was going to put this into a rotation, I would have my, carbon racing shoe. Then I'd have my tempo day shoe of some kind of like maybe like a nylon plate or something like that, like an SC trainer type of shoe. And then I think this would be like my everyday mileage. I'm going out there for 6-7 miles. It's going to be fairly easy. I'm not doing any kind of special workout. And I'm not even necessarily picking up the pace towards the end or doing strides in this, I don't really think. And then if I really want to get super plush, I'd have an even more cushion shoe to kind of go for my like super long, slow distance miles. But I think that I would tell people like this is going to be your workhorse for, the majority of your miles that are just going to be you running out there on cruise control.
I agree with that. I'd put this in that daily category. I probably wouldn't take this over 12, 13 miles.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily recommend it. It starts feeling a little bit heavier. I forgot to mention that it's about like almost 11 ounces in my size. So it's definitely on the heavier side. So this feels really good when you don't care about the pace. You want to get out there. You want a shoe that just eats up a ton of miles because, as you mentioned, this shoe is going to be very durable. You're going to get a ton of miles in. And if you're using it in that daily trainer category, or I'd even say maybe recovery day shoe where you want to just go plop around, this is definitely going to hit that one. I do not recommend picking up the paces in the shoe. It's going to be an effort. It really will. And the benefit, it's just not worth the squeeze, in my honest opinion.
I agree. No, I completely agree. This is not a shoe that can be used as like a hybrid type of running shoe for sure. This is a one trick pony to me.
We talked a lot about the Vomero, but one thing I love about following you on Instagram, and I'm going to drop your handle below, is you got style, and I dig it.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I also love that you're a little bit of a sneakerhead. And sometimes when you come to running, you probably have a storage of running shoes as much as I do. But I also love a good sneaker. I love a good sneaker to go with my jeans when I'm going out with my wife, or just, getting a cup of coffee. What are a couple of sneakers you're digging right now?
All right. So the classic sneaker that I think goes with a lot of different stuff is a New Balance 990. Okay. I should have brought some down to show off, but it's okay. The New Balance 990, it's a great, nice silhouette. It goes great with like a pair of sweats, and you can even wear it with jeans. I do to work all the time, and even a pair of trousers. Super cool. I love the 990. Adidas Samba. You gotta have that. It's a nice, simple silhouette. Not the most comfortable shoe because there's like no, it's basically you and the ground. But it's really super cool, very versatile for any kind of outfit. You can really dress it up and dress it down. And then I'd say for my third one, well, I have one and then I'll have a bonus one. So I think my last sneaker that I can recommend is probably a pair of just high top Converse. I have a pair of the platform ones, not the really big platform, but they're very minimal. And I just think it like elevates the look. It's a great pair of regular Converse are fine, but then you have that like little platform with like a pair of ripped jeans at the bottom or like trousers to dress it up. Looks super cool. And then my last one that I will say is I'm a big fan now of the Boston Birkenstock clogs.
Never heard of that. I'll have to check that one
Yeah,
out.
it's you might be put off by the look at first, but they're cool to wear to like the grocery store, some errands on the weekend, something like that, going to get coffee. It's like the perfect slip-on shoe. So those are my three plus one favorite shoes.
Perfect. No, I dig that. I'm a huge Samba fan. I love them because I wear them to work and it looks good.
Yeah,
Grab a drink afterwards. But the two I am absolutely digging. I like the Jordan 1. It's just
nice. I have a pair. Yeah.
but I like this one. I think it's like the CMT because it has a Zoom air pocket. Super.
Oh, wow.
I don't necessarily find Jordan 1s comfortable, but this one, super dang comfortable. And
Yeah, that's a nice shoe.
other one I just recently got gifted was the Jordan 2. This
Oh,
is
nice.
the different style, not my go-to, but the low one. It actually works really nice. Been wearing this a ton. So I'm actually more of a dunk guy, but the Jordans have definitely been speaking to me.
Yeah, I have one pair of Jordans. I can't remember what the colorway is exactly, but they're white and they're green.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I wear those a lot with like jeans, but it's got to be the right fit for me. Like it has to be very specific, has to be like a wide leg pant. It's a bit of a look for me, but I do appreciate it and I like it. And I wish I had more pairs of them, honestly. Something more neutral, probably like the ones that you have.
I definitely recommend those ones. See, the problem with the ones, I think they're called like the Lucky or something like that because they're
Yes.
I can't wear them because of the Boston Celtics. I'm a Sixers fan.
Oh, yeah.
They're in colorways. I'm like, oh, so everyone's like, oh, you can wear them for the Eagles. But when you wear a basketball shoe, everyone's going to associate with the basketball team.
That's true. Yeah.
Sorry, Boston fans.
Yeah. I have no loyalty to teams. So if someone thinks I'm
Thank you for crashing the party. If you have not checked out her channel, I will drop a link in there. It is fantastic. I absolutely love it. She
Yep.
developed some freaking awesome reviews and just content. She just crushed the New York City Marathon. I'm excited to see what 2024 holds for you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Hopefully I get to crash the party again one day.
Always welcome to the party.